Get my 6. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid, the most popular homesteading channel on the internet that has absolutely nothing to do with homesteading. So get my 6, military terminology for watch behind me. So I'm going to read a story for you today, submitted by one of our viewers, Nina Petrie in West by God, Virginia. It's kind of weird-ish related in that it deals with empaths, and she's submitted several stories over time for our True Hauntings volumes, and this one is going to be in True Hauntings Volume 4, which I hope to have finished, wrapped up by the end of this weekend, knock on wood. So I went over this story again, doing final edits for this thing, and I can relate to it. It's about being an empath, because I'm an empath, and many of you who watch this show are probably empaths, and the importance of protecting yourself from negative people. I want to share a brief story with you before I read Nina's story. I coach football and basketball for my son and his groups, and our head coach, I'm an assistant and I do the offensive coordinating in football, but our head coach said something at the end of practice a couple days ago, it was last week, that really resonated, and I wanted to get it on video to share it with people and kind of preserve it. And what he said was, losers focus on failures, winners ignore them. And the reason he said that, and I promise this is a 60-second or less version, we had just had our second game a couple days before this practice, and we won. We lost our first game. Now, last season we were division champions, and we lost our first game this season to the league champions. They've been league champions for 5 years. We might take them this year. I believe we can do it. But anyway, we held them. They were to 7-0. They were beating us 7-0 in our first game, the league champions, defending league champions, until the last 2 minutes. And we just had some miscommunications on defense. They scored quickly. And then when we got the ball back, we had to go to the air because time was running out. And they intercepted one of our passes and ran it back for a touchdown. So they beat us 21-0. And if you look at that score, oh wow, 21-0. It wasn't even close. That doesn't tell you the tale of the tape. That game was close. That was anybody's ball game to the last 2 minutes. And then they just kind of broke it open. So last week we played a team and we were up by 5 points, okay, with 40 seconds left on the clock. We were on our own 9-yard line, and the refs called out third down. So we went with the pass play. We tried to air it, tried to get the ball about midway down the field, hoping we could, after a couple strikes, score again. Well, it was an incomplete pass. Well, then the ref comes back and he says, "Oh, I was wrong. That was fourth down." We're like, "What?" We would have never done that on fourth down. We would have punted on our own 9-yard line. 40 seconds left in the game. We were trying to preserve that lead. Well, it was a turnover on downs. The other team took the ball on our 9-yard line. So it was first and goal from the 9. They completed an 8-yard pass. We stopped them at the 1. Second and goal from the 1. Now, think back on the game from the week before. We held, and then things just kind of fell apart on us in the last couple minutes. Losers would say, well, this is how we play. We do great until the end of the game, then it all just falls apart, and they would give up. But our kids didn't do that because they're winners. Second and goal from the 1, we held them. Third and goal from the 1, we held them. Fourth and goal from the 1, we held them. They completed a pass in the end zone that was out of bounds. So we ended up winning that game. There was 37 seconds left. We had to hold them for 4 plays inside the 10, 3 of them from the 1-yard line. So that's why our coach pointed that out to this group of players that we have. They're winners because they have a winning mindset. Losers focus on failure. Winners ignore it. So we didn't think back to the game the week before. And if we hadn't, if that would have been our focus, we would have lost. But we didn't, so we won. So I bring this up because there's a couple posts I made on the Sick Twisted Humor Facebook page that I really believe in. One of them said, So football. We want to. Oh. So there's a post that I make on the Sick Twisted Humor page that says, accept people as they are, but put them where they should be. You are the CEO of your life. Hire, fire, promote, demote accordingly. That is so important. That's so important. There's another post that I make commonly, and it's funny, but it's also true. And there's somebody that I'm going to use here as an example. The post says, no one is completely worthless. They can always be used as a bad example. It's funny, but it's also true. So with this in mind, and with this is going to make sense to you here in a minute, as far as being an empath goes, and really even if you're not an empath, we are all affected by those around us, by their attitudes, by their actions, by their behaviors, by the things that come out of their mouths. So that's why it is so important that we choose who we allow around us, who we choose to be around. And I talk to the kids I coach about this. If there's that guy or that girl who is just pessimistic, negative, looking for all the reasons why everything will go wrong instead of why they could possibly go right, get away from them, get them out of your life, because their thoughts, if you listen to them enough, will become your own. Okay, these people are called dream killers. A question I ask on page 2 on Sick Twisted Humor is, what's one of the most important lessons you've learned about life? This older gentleman commented, he said, to stay away from the dream killers. The people who tell you why you can't. Well, it's because they can't, and mostly because they're lazy. They don't want to do the work necessary to be successful, and they want to claim that people who have done the work and have become successful just got lucky somehow. Knew the right person, right place, right time. I view that the same way Yogi Berra did. I've found in my life that the harder I work, the luckier I get. Okay, so anyway, let me read Nina's story. Then I'm going to go more into detail about somebody to use as a bad example. Daggone old man glasses. Starting to go downhill fast, folks. People have asked about the hair. It's because I was actually starting to lose it up here, getting a bald spot in the back. And I thought, well, looks like it's time for the hair to go, so I'm just going to let it grow. It's going to fall out anyway. Well, that was a year and a half ago. Still got it, but I ain't cutting it. All right. So Nina from West, hang in there with me. I have a tendency to ramble. Some people like that. There are things that you learn that make you assimilate and or accommodate what you know or think you know. And then there are things that you know, but you don't know how you know them, yet you know that they are intrinsically true. Sort of a knowledge deja vu. Touches of the spirit, part of the Akashic records. Why put a label on it? It just is. Questioning the source doesn't make it less true. Some things can be intellectualized, or at least it is not wise to do so. Or some things can't be intellectualized. At least it's not wise to do so. That can lead to chaos and confusion. Yeah, I call that analysis paralysis. When you think and think and think so much that you just never take action, a lot of people just overthink stuff. It can cause confusion, frustration, and doubt, and all can make for a miserable existence with no peace. Words of wisdom come from the outside, planted on the inside, and if they take hold, capture your attention, then the idea, whatever, has a chance to grow and cement itself into the human soul, which then flares it back out into the universe as a bright white light containing all the colors there are or ever were. And that's that positive energy that, we send out if we're positive people. Vibration of the soul, mind, part of the one, the mind of the creator, is hard to express with mere words. Yet, per Genesis, words are what built everything. Let there be light. All this continues to run through my thoughts, lies versus truth. Now we get into the empath stuff. Vibration is what being an empath is all about. At least to me, that is so. I am an empath. I didn't always know that. I thought all the crazy just found me. Total strangers would come up to me in public and spew their innermost, confess to me all of the wild and sometimes wicked stories of their lives, stuff I couldn't believe they were saying out loud like it was just normal everyday conversation that for some reason they decided I would want to hear. I never responded verbally to those people, but that was something they didn't seem to notice and would just go on talking. I didn't realize, and no one told me, I was wide open spiritually, and the crazies, as I thought of them, took that as an invitation to unload themselves, likely on a subconscious level. Over time, I learned to close that down by shifting myself away from others. I am no longer wide open. See, you're seeing where it relates to what I was talking about, right? Empaths, whether they understand it or not, are in tune with whatever is around them, especially other people. At times, it is a wild ride and overwhelming, even when you close yourself to it. Maybe some things are so strong that you just can't block it. I find the sharp sadness and pain the worst to handle, especially natural disasters such as tornadoes wiping out whole communities. When you see the aftermath videos and the effect it had on the survivors who lost everything, loved ones, homes, livelihoods, and possibly hope, at times like that, I feel like a pressure release valve for the universe to help alleviate the pain and grief. You know, sharing the load so it doesn't overwhelm them completely by sending the maelstrom of emotions out and on. I keep to myself a lot, survival mode. Alone but rarely lonely. I take long periods of downtime to rebalance myself. It's like the words from a Simon and Garfunkel song. I am a rock, I am an island, and a rock feels no pain, and an island never cries. Nice imagery, but that really isn't true, as rocks and islands are not inanimate objects, but are alive with their own vibrations. The world is full of takers and givers. Try to be more giver than taker. Guard your gift, whatever it is, use it prudently. The empath you save from burnout just might be yourself. Peace. Thank you, Nina Petrie from West by God, Virginia. That is so poignant, and I can relate to that so much as an empath. But you don't have to be an empath to be affected by the energies of other people around you. As an empath, I spend a lot of time alone here on the property. Now I make sure to go be social. We all need socialization. The coaching keeps me busy 3 days a week. We've got 2 practices a week and games every Saturdays. And I coach sometimes 3 teams. I coached 3 football games last Saturday. Okay, not everybody's completely worthless. They can always be used as a bad example. There's a person that used to come around uninvited, a couple of them actually. And listen, I'm not singling anybody out over and over in some of these videos to try to like make them feel bad if they're watching. They're probably not. I could care less if they are. But just when I need to give examples, they come to mind. They would just come around uninvited, and by they, there's more than one. There was 2 in particular. We all know the hay collector. We know that story, the annoying neighbor that I got rid of with the crayon. That's why like 70,000 of you are here. But there was another annoying neighbor who I finally just got rid of with the truth. But they would come around and complain. The one, not the hay collector, but the other guy, always complaining about how mean his wife was to him. And I know her. She's a narcissist and shows extreme signs of having borderline personality disorder. I couldn't imagine the hell that man goes through living with that person. Well, I can actually, because I've been around untreated, mentally ill people for most of my life. That's why, like with Nina and her story, I didn't realize I was an empath until I was in my 40s. And I didn't really realize the need to cut myself off from toxic, dysfunctional people, no matter who they are, until I was in my 40s. And but the guy would come around complaining about his wife, always complaining about his money problems. He didn't work. I mean, he claimed to own a business or something that he did not work. Okay. The way people word things. I met somebody recently who continually refers to himself as semi-retired. He's in his 30s. He doesn't work. These guys, they'll shack up with women that either are controlling and want a beta male to control, or just have poor taste in men, or no self-esteem. And these women support them, take care of them. And there are women that likewise do the same thing with men, take advantage of men. But he was always telling me why things never worked out for him. And if I would make a suggestion on an idea, he would tell me why that wouldn't work. He would spend his time coming up with 1,000 reasons why it wouldn't work instead of how it could. And it's really sad to see somebody with that mindset. Now, I had to just finally let this guy know, I really have no desire to spend time with you. I would spend 5 minutes talking to the guy and I would feel bad for the next 5 days, because as an empath, I was absorbing that energy. But in this guy's defense, there was something going on, and Nina Petrie really points it out in that story she wrote. This guy probably didn't necessarily realize that he was dumping all of his negative, toxic emotions and views and thoughts on me. He probably felt compelled to, because he could tell, whether subconsciously or not, or if he would ever intellectually admit anything like this, that I was an empath. And one of the roles empaths play is we are like batteries that go around absorbing energies from other people. Now, that's why, so I moved those guys out of my life, and other people, including relatives, family of origin members. And I'm going to tell you who was a nutcase just a few years ago, who's doing really well right now. The actor Shia LaBeouf, however you pronounce it. You remember he kind of like had a mental breakdown thing, and Hollywood wouldn't touch him, and that guy's doing okay now. And I saw him recently talking, and something my wife showed me, and he said he finally learned that if you are toxic, you are not allowed in his life. It doesn't matter if you are a longtime friend, close neighbor, or even a relative, blood, kin, family member. If you're toxic, if you're negative, you're not allowed in my life. And that's something Nina, I believe, has done that. She kind of alludes to it in her letter. That's something I learned I had to do, because listen, dude, I'm sorry your wife is a... See you next Tuesday here on this channel. Maybe. I'm sorry that you don't have the work ethic required to pursue an endeavor until it's finished so that you can cross the finish line successfully. I don't want that. So, boom. And again, certain family of origin members feel that, I can be the whipping boy, the dog that is kicked at the end of the day when they've had a bad day. Nope. So anyway, think about this for yourselves. You are the CEO of your life. Accept people as they are. I accept these people as who they... Some people are just pessimistic. Some people are negative. Some people are cynical. I accept that. But place them accordingly. They've been fired. They've been fired. We're the CEO of our lives. The quality of our lives is dependent upon those who we allow to share our lives with us. They say life's what you make it. Nuh-uh. 80-something-year-old man 20 years ago told me life is what you and the other people that you allow into your life make it. So be very selective on who you allow into your life. And remember, like Coach said, losers focus on failures. Winners don't. They ignore them. But if you spend too much time with those losers who focus on the failures, their emotions and mindsets will become yours, and you'll become that loser. So get rid of them. Be a very efficient CEO of your life. Hire, fire, promote, and demote accordingly. See you for more next time here on the most popular homesteading channel on the internet that has absolutely nothing to do with homesteading. Homesteading off the grid. And if you got a story, submit it quickly to the channel, crazylake@mail.com, because we're going to print probably this weekend. crazylake@mail.com. See ya.